Real for real.
Well, welcome to this special edition of La Comadre Network, and we're going to be talking about the special election being held today. So you might have heard about it. I hope you've heard about it. If you haven't heard about it, we need to talk about that. But so I'm here with Alma Marquez. Yay, Alma!
Hi.
Who, by the way, is in mourning today, just for today. But she'll be okay because her daughter's gone off to college and she voted before she left.
Yes, she did. She did.
Perfect. Perfect. So let's just get right into it. Let's make sure that we have our folks here. So this is a casual conversation, and we're going to talk about the recall election and also what it means to have a recall election. How do you get to the recall election?
Yes.
And so we're going to talk about that. And we're also going to, if you have a question, you can put it in the comments. We're going to be viewing those comments so we can see if we can answer some of the questions that you might have if you're watching from wherever you are in the world today. So, and we don't know the answer to everything, but mostly everything. Right, Alma?
Yes, absolutely. We know a lot. Just kidding.
We know a lot. Yeah. So, and having been the subject of a recall myself,
Yeah.
and I'll just for full disclosure put that out there. I absolutely know a lot about the process, and also, some of the bad aspects of a recall. It can be a good thing, but it can also be not so good thing. So we'll talk about that. So yeah, we're up and running. Anna, do you have anything that you want to say starting?
Well, I mean, I think we decided to jump on because a couple of folks were asking us for advice about, okay, how do we do this? They're concerned about what the recall is, and this is kind of a big deal in terms of the reality of what's happening in California and the politics of it, and people don't want to make mistakes, and so we want to make sure that we're available as in Comadrazgo to be able to answer any questions and to make sure that if there's any specific things that come up that we're able to talk about them. So it's totally casual with the idea of if you have questions and you need a comadre to ask, that you would ask us and we would be able to respond to you all.
Yeah, absolutely. And as many of you probably do in your family, I know that I'm the go-to person for my friends and some family. They will text me or call me and tell me, how do I vote on this? I haven't read, so I know Alma gets the same thing.
Yes.
And so sometimes as, educated individuals or just, being that political person in your family, you get the questions, right? So you'll see that we are supporting no on this recall. La Comadre very deliberately and very unapologetically supports keeping Governor Gavin Newsom in office for the time being. He's up for reelection next year, so we'll see where we are then. But for now, we are not supporting the recall.
And maybe you can start talking about like what you know about why this recall started and kind of talking a little bit about that, because I think that's important for folks to know.
Okay, so let's first discuss, how do you even recall someone? How does that happen? First of all, if you're an elected official in the state of California, the state election code only gives you one way to get rid of or get someone out of office. No matter what they do, there's only one way to get an individual out of office, and that is the recall process. Now, the recall process is very flawed. So, and this is a perfect example. This election, this recall election, is a perfect example of how you can exploit the law and the fact that there's no accountability in some parts of this law, is that you can just put a thing like this on the ballot. What happens is that you have to get a petition made and you have to get signatures to support that petition. So it's however many people voted in the prior election, that's the amount of signatures. There's a percentage of amount of signatures that you would need in order to get something like this on the ballot. Now the petition can say whatever you want it to say. Therein lies the problem. It doesn't have to be 100% honest. Now, there are several reasons that people have been giving for the reason why Gavin Newsom is being recalled, but really it had to do mostly with the pandemic, which was not his making. The fact that he had ordered a mask mandate in the state of California, as did several other governors throughout the country, as did the White House eventually when we got a decent president. So this is not something that was within his control. Unfortunately, the governor was also photographed at an event right after the mandate, and he was not wearing a mask. And there was like maybe 10 or 11 people there. It was at a restaurant. And so that was unfortunate. Does it rise to the level of putting someone out of office? No. Recalls should be only for egregious acts, criminal activity, outright corruption, things that really just, if you disagree with someone, it's just not a reason. Even if you disagree with them politically, that's not enough. That should not be enough. And unfortunately, people can say whatever they want on the recall petition itself and tell people that this person did this, that, or the other. So, and I'm going to give you another prime example. So I was a school board member in Fontana, and we had a not so good after school program that was being run by the city of Fontana in my district. And I made the proposal that we should improve it and that we should go out for proposals to see what other vendors could bring us, not just, the city, because I wanted something better for our kids. They turned that into Leticia Garcia wants to abolish after school programs, and they put that on a petition. And, that's what happened, right? So, and then I got recalled, and it was a special election, and normally, it's not a really big turnout for special elections. So if you have the money, when they had $500,000, if you have the money to go out there and lie to people at their door, then you can. It's really hard to beat a recall. So I tried, but it just. But so that's an example of how recall gets put on the ballot. Then the state certifies it, and they don't really check the petition to see if it's true or not. I personally believe that we do have to revamp it so that you have to have specific, legitimate, verified, egregious, something that is done other than I just don't like you politically. That's why I do think we need to change that. So that is how that works.
Yeah. So it's oftentimes, just to cut to the chase in that way, it's oftentimes controlled by people who have a lot of money and resources to be able to put a recall in. Someone who, like in your case, Letty, I remember when it was happening, you're a single mom trying to advocate for kids in Fontana, which is where you were the school board member, and you didn't have a big war chest or a lot of money to be able to respond to that. And so I remember it was a very hard thing to see because so many people wanted to help you, but when you have, what was it? $500,000.
Yeah.
$500,000 is a lot of money for a campaign. And the fact
really was mostly not just because of my stand on the that was what they used, but it was also because I was holding people accountable, including the mayor of Fontana at the time, who's still the mayor. So that happens.
Yeah, it's political payback in many ways, right? So I think having a conversation about why as Latina women, we need to know about recalls, and we need to always be thinking, what's the political payback conversation in these recalls? Sometimes they are legitimate. We, have witnessed important recall elections, right? When there's corruption, and those people should be recalled and removed from office. But then there's these kinds of things that are totally a political play. And in this case, the dynamic is that the Republican
They're
vote.
calling it the Republican recall.
Yeah, they're calling it the Republican recall because it's mostly funded and led by Republicans to try to get Gavin Newsom out, even though next year the election, his second election, is coming. So there's not a lot of necessity to do that, just because they might have disagreed with the mask mandate or some of the issues related to what happened with the pandemic. And there's no doubt.
Ironically, the Republicans also led my recall, and there are two other proposed recalls in the state right now, also led by conservative Republicans. One, you might have heard of my cousin, Joel Hurtado, a council member in Kingsburg, California.
Yes, she's so young.
21 years old, got elected to a seat at the council. She is LGBTQ and has come out publicly, very publicly about that. And upon her asking the city, proposing that the city fly a pride flag at the city council, at the city hall, the crazy conservatives want to recall her. That's not a reason to recall someone.
Wow.
Okay, one. Now, there's also, you may have also heard of the DA in San Francisco, Ches Bodine, who is the son of a incarcerated person who is currently incarcerated. But he's the DA of San Francisco now. They want to recall him because, he's the son of a person who's incarcerated. So these are not reasons to recall folks.
Yeah.
Now,
but they are political plays, though.
About Bell.
And we'll talk about Bell in a minute also. I mean, the issue, though, is that it's political differences playing out. They're using a law that is not necessarily, they're using the law with different intentions. And
avoiding the fact that no one checks it.
Yeah, and I think the problem is that people were saying, like, why are you even doing this? It's just not a good idea. But I do want to talk, Letty, about, because we have we have this big election that's happening today. Today is the last day. So we want to make sure that we explain what people can do today to respond to this recall, to vote, to use their their voice with their vote. Tu voto es su voz, in the proud words of Southwest voters. We want to make sure that people understand what they could do, and how they complete their ballot should they want to vote against the recall and against the shenanigans that we know are happening behind us.
So everyone in the state of California who is a registered voter should have received a ballot in the mail. That includes me. Unfortunately, I lost my ballot. But no worries. I went to the registrar this morning and I voted. And it was very cool because I put my ballot in and it asked you, did you vote no on the recall? And I said, yes, of course. And then it said, thank you, your ballot's counted. So you should have received a ballot in the mail. There are two things on the ballot. On the first side of the ballot, it's asking a question. The question is, do you want to recall Governor Gavin Newsom? And the answer to that question is either yes or no. If you vote yes, then that means that he will be taken out of office. Mm-hmm. And then if you vote no, that means that you want him to stay in office. Mm-hmm. Now, in order for him to be removed from office, he would have to have 50% or more of the vote to say yes. Now, if he is removed from office, if the answer is yes, Then the second question is on side 2 of the ballot, and that is, which one of these 1,000 clowns on the ballot do you think would do a better job than Gavin Newsom? And the answer is, don't vote for any of them.
Zero. None.
In my opinion.
Yeah, in my opinion too. I've had several people ask me, who should we respond? And they're looking for people who are aligned. I'm like, the response is no one. I'm not responding to anybody.
And we are, as you all know, it's no secret, we are huge school choice proponents. But hell no to Larry Elder.
Yeah.
Because that one issue is not enough. He's crazy on everything else. So no.
Yeah.
No, we're not doing that. And I've had people ask me, what about Larry Elder? He is pro school choice. Yeah, but he's crazy in every other direction. So no, I mean, he wants to give slave owner ancestors money. Come on, like what? No, like you're a self-hating weirdo. Stop.
Yeah. So no. And then a whole bunch of the weirdos that are aligned with him. I mean, really, we know some of the weirdos who are aligned with them, and it's like, what the hell happened there? But no, I think it's really important that we're honest about, look, we may not agree on everything. And for us, making sure that Latino children in California and all over the country have access to great schools so that they can have a great career and or start a great business, have great opportunities. For us, schools represent those opportunities, and that's why we're advocates for whatever school is going to do that. That's what we want to make sure happens. But the reality is that we can't be one issue people. We have to be thinking about what's best for the community and knowing that we're advocates for high quality schools and excellent schools. But that's not the only issue that matters when these lunaticos are out there talking about everything else that would hurt our community, and we can't be supportive of that.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I've actually, I don't know if you've had people reach out to you about that question.
Yes, girl. Yes.
I'm just like, are you serious?
No, it's real. And so people are concerned about it. So we want to make sure that we're answering folks and making sure that they know that they have until today to vote. Letty, can you help folks understand, like I know that the ballot, all the ballots, every single voter in California was mailed a ballot. So that's a new thing because typically it's not always the case, but because of the pandemic, now everybody is getting a ballot, which is wonderful because it means that people who don't always vote because they don't go into to the ballot location or to the polling location, they normally it's those people who get the ballots. But now, thankfully, everybody has access to the ballots, which means that everybody would have access to just drop off the ballot. So we're going to encourage you to drop off your ballot, to call your friends and family, to make sure they drop off their ballot, because they have until today to actually go to the polling place. But the ballots will be counted. So can you talk a little bit more about that, Letty? I know that's your area of expertise. You know a lot about voting and stuff.
So as I said, I'm one of those people, I don't know where I put my ballot and I couldn't find it. And it came early and I should have just done it then, but I didn't. Anyway, you received a ballot like everyone else, and you can literally just fill it out and then put it back in the envelope that it came with. Don't forget to sign the outside of it and put it in your mailbox and give it to your mailman. Now, you could have done that. Today, everything has to be postmarked. So I would just go ahead and drop it off. Or if you know someone and they have polling places open, and you can take it to the polling place, or you can take it to your local city clerk and they will accept your ballot there. So there's a lot of ways to deliver it. And now we have in California where anybody can take your ballot in. So you can give your ballot to somebody as long as you sign it, and they can turn it in. If it's someone you trust, go ahead and give it to them. Normally, I would vote in advance, and I would give it to my mailman because I trust him implicitly. He's awesome. But unfortunately, I had to get up this morning and go to the registrar because I misplaced my ballot. But it was a super easy process, and anybody can go in. You can either go to the polling place and tell them that you lost your ballot, or you can go to the registrar, like I said. And it's a really easy process. You don't need any identification or anything. They just give you your ballot, and then I was done. So so that
Yeah,
it's, I mean, it's
and we voted over the weekend. My daughter and I voted, and put our ballots in the mail. You'll see when you open the ballot, you'll see it had the vote sticker, so you can get your little sticker and support it. So they're trying to make it as easy for us as possible to vote, and it's really important that we encourage our families to vote, because oftentimes Latinos, especially those Latinos who don't get reminded to vote, what they call low propensity voters, don't get invited to vote, don't get reminded to vote. So it becomes a cycle that only the people who vote are the ones that get reminded to vote. And that's part of what we want to do as Latinas, is to educate our community about there's a reason why you may not be getting the reminders, and that's because you're not voting. And so it's important that we tell our peeps, we tell our families, don't forget to vote. Send them a quick text. I'm sure you all have family text messages, threads. Send those out so that people will remember, because, life is happening. My kid went off to college today,
I want to talk about that, because in this particular election, there are a lot of college kids who missed getting their ballot. Mm-hmm. So if you went off to college right when the ballot was being delivered and you missed it and it's at home and you didn't get it, it's okay. Go to your local city clerk, or at your university, they should have a polling place there or nearby, and just get a replacement ballot, and you can vote today. No problem. Or, and then I would change your address in the future so you can have your permanent address as your home address, but your mailing address should be your university or college, because unfortunately that did happen with this one. It kind of slipped through. Mm-hmm. So just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, that's good. That's good intel. So we want to definitely make sure that we're reminding people to drop off their ballots today, or to postmark them, and to call your families to make sure that they are also doing it, or go before 8 o'clock when the polls close. Before 8 o'clock. Yeah. If you're in line at 8 p.m., you should be able to vote. So I think that's yeah.
No, and that's pretty much basically it. I know that there is talk that there's going to be maybe some changes being made to the way that recalls are run, and I think they should be. And I wanted to just mention very briefly, because everyone knows about what happened at Bell, but those are the kinds of things that a recall should be reserved for. When there is political corruption, when there is bribery, when there is some type of either misdemeanor or felony, I believe it should actually state in the recall process that the individual should be actually doing something that is illegal. So, and that's just the best, kind of example that I can use, is the kind of shit that was going down in Bell. But anyway, for future reference, that's the conversation that will be happening in the state of California.
That's good. So we definitely need to keep ourselves informed about that, because more of our kids are becoming adults and they're becoming voters, and so we have a responsibility to help them understand these things. So feel free to share this with folks, and you can always ping us, send us a message on Facebook, on Twitter, on email, to if you have any specific questions. I think that's really important. The recall process could be very confusing, and we want to make sure that we're not confusing our people, and that we're here to help folks who might need some support.
Absolutely. And there's no excuse not to vote. Like that, especially now that the ballots are delivered to you. It's like, how easy can it be? But yet there is still, so many people. What is good about this election is that a lot of people have already turned in their ballots, and there is a lot of support for keeping the governor. And so which is great. Like let's hold them accountable at election time. And by the way, this is costing a lot of money, because, as you know, elections are not cheap. And
Yeah.
so somebody has to pay for all these ballots being mailed out. Somebody has to pay for all these ballots, all these election workers.
Yeah,
You know,
California goes
millions
from
of
our
dollars,
budget.
right?
Mhm.
And so I guess Republicans, they're supposed to be the fiscally conservative party, but you waste money.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
No,
mean,
that's totally a lie. Cuando les conviene, no quieren gastar dinero when it comes to social services and making sure that people
right.
have the extra support. But with stupid stuff like this, imagine all the good that this money could have been used for if they weren't.
And
If
it's
they
also
weren't
kind
doing
of hard to say that you want to like recall a governor that has the number 5 economy in.
this.
I mean, like we have a surplus of money, but
Yeah.
you know, I mean,
It's
I don't.
okay. Yeah.
It's weird. Anyway, that's how you vote. Make sure you do that today. Let's see your I voted buttons, or like the little, they don't do buttons,
The stickers.
they do your little stickers, and post it up on our page and show us, hey, I'm a comadre and I voted.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Love to see it. And if
Well,
you have any questions, feel free to put them here and we'll answer them throughout the day.
perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you. I'm so glad we were able to do this. And just to remind people, 8:00, you can submit your stuff and drop it off in the mail if you want to. Also, you can go to the polls, drop it off by 8 p.m.
That's right. Okay, happy voting.
Okay, happy voting day, comadre. I'll see you. Bye.
Bye.